So I brought John on because he's an expert in financing debt. Want to talk about debt, good debt. I see a lot of people getting in trouble with the kind of high interest things. They don't have a plan. They're very reactive. I really want to make sure guys in this group aren't. And if you are, kind of ways to get out of that.
So basically what factoring does, guys, is instead of you waiting net 30 or 60 days, it allows you to get paid as soon as the job's done right away. And basically you'll get anywhere between, usually it's 85%. Kevin, you were a little different, but usually it's about 85% of the invoice. So figure a $10,000 invoice, you get 8,500 bucks the next day. And then as soon as your client pays the factor, they release that reserve minus the fee. The fee is usually between 2 and 3% per 30 days. So it doesn't cut into your margins. The problem isn't you don't have money, okay? You have all the money coming in, it's just delayed. And so factoring solves that. When you get a line of credit, or if you take a loan, or God forbid you take a cash advance, right? And I got to tell you, that's the biggest thing I unwind every single day in this business. I can see all of my clients factoring invoices and they all grow. And some of them have explosive growth. I'm talking 50, 70, 100% some of these guys. Why? Because they don't have to go out and borrow. They always have enough money to take on the next job, or they can go and hunt larger jobs, right? So factoring will actually check your client's credit for you. And so he sent me his upcoming work contracts. He sent about 6 of them. And I got all the credit ratings on them. And I said, look, you can't do work for these 2, but we can factor these 4 and you're good to go. And so factoring also will stop you from working for people you never should have in the first place.
If we turn down a client, don't use them. Don't. You'll be tempted to go do it yourself. Trust me, don't. You'll get burnt more than you'll win. We did do that anyway because I got burnt like 6,800 bucks. I remember thinking that was so stupid. They told me don't use this person. I did it anyway. So that's a thing. I pay subcontractors faster. And what I did was we tried this. We saw how we could kind of pay them a little less on each job, a percentage. And I would say, hey, if you want, I would ask them about cash flow problems. They're always in trouble. And I say, hey, I could probably get you that in 2 days as opposed to the end of the week. Does that work? Hey, we might have a little bit different pricing model, and I would drop it like 5%. So I would be paying them 5% less, but only paying the factory company 2%. I would have an arbitrage.
With project financing, you can build it into the bid as long as you know, like project financing will typically give you 25% of the contract value, right? So $1 million job, you can draw 250. You don't need to take the full 250. And then you're going to pay a little bit more. You pay about 5% per 30 days, whatever the program is to be match the duration and time. So when you're hiring people or you're paying for marketing, that's something you're doing on a weekly or monthly basis. Okay. So a line of credit, they usually range anywhere from 6 to 36 months, and you control when you pay it back. So line of credit, that's perfect. Good debt pays for itself. Good debt has a return. You need to buy a house. You're not going to buy a house in cash. Okay. You want to finance that. Why? You don't want to use all your cash. Cash is king. 2, you get certain write-offs from having that. Okay. Same thing with equipment. We just went over that example. You have a business, if the equipment is going to cost you more than $10,000, you should finance that. 2 things have to be true. And then it's finding the best deal to do that. The first thing, if I'm borrowing this amount of money, how much money is this going to produce a month? So let's say borrowing $100,000 to invest in my buddy's business. Okay. And this is a real situation that's coming up. If I'm going to invest $100,000 into this business and my monthly payment on that debt is going to be $3,000. How much is his business going to kick off to me? If it's going to be, let's say, 3,500 bucks or $4,000 or more, that's a decision, but it's still more than the debt payment. Now, if it's going to kick off $10,000 a month, right? That's an easier decision. Okay. The best time to apply for anything is when you don't need it. Okay. You're going to score out the highest.
And when cash flow is high in your business, right? Like a lot of people
Yes.
might be right now.
Correct. So if you're in roofing, right? You're in roofing or solar or anything that the summer season's better, you should really be applying for whatever you need in, let's say, July or August when you're in the middle of the season, because you're going to look way better, way stronger. And you just take a minimum draw to get the account open, and then you just leave it there, right? That is something I've been doing. I've been doing that since 2014. All right. I don't want to say I'm reckless. It's been calculated decisions. And it's allowed me to have a level of financial freedom above what my business would have ever allowed for. And I have pretty good businesses, guys. I own a factoring company and a marketplace lending institution. So I will tell you that that has been a game changer for me. You just have to be disciplined and just do it that way.